survivors. And she had full-blown AIDS, she had tuberculosis, and she was 3 months pregnant. She had been sold for the equivalent of $35 and a bag of crack provided to her recruiter. And through halting breaths, she told me her story, and afterwards I said, "Is there anything else that you would want readers to know about your life?" And she just said, thank you for caring about my story." And I told her it is a privilege, and it truly is a privilege. It was a privilege to hear her story, it's a privilege to be before you today, and it's a privilege to work for human rights. The night ended up, I don't want to reveal the whole story, as my editor, Time magazine, would have me killed probably if I did. It comes out later on this month, you can all pick it up. But the night went on, and I eventually found her trafficker. And I found a young woman who I saw. My photographer was taking a picture of a hotel that had been taken over by a number of Nigerian syndicates. And it was about 1 in the morning, and as she was shooting, there was a girl standing in the corner. And this girl was wearing a red hood. She stood out, and she was wearing open-toed shoes, and it was 0 degrees out that night. It was freezing. And I went over to her and I said a few words, and she spoke just enough English to tell me that she was 15 years old. She had been sold into a Nigerian network, and she came from Eastern Cape. And I put 2 and 2 together, and I realized that this was the best friend of the young woman that I had been interviewing, whose life story I had been taking earlier that night in the hospice. And this young woman, this girl, wanted to get out. She was desperate to leave. And so, after a series of fairly harrowing events that I do describe in the Time magazine story, that again I'll retain some suspense there, we got her out. I was keenly aware, A, that I crossed a line as a journalist and gotten involved in one young woman's life. It wasn't the first time I'd done it, it was actually the second time I'd done it. And in both instances, I recognized that emancipation was not the last step. In this country,